Good morning, Vancouver. How are you? Can you still hear me? You there?
I got you.
There you are. Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Ryan Ouwehand.
Ouwehand, but you were close.
Well, I pronounced it right. I think you should correct that.
There you go.
Ryan Ouwehand. Scottish name, right?
Dutch. You're 0 for 2, but you know what? Let's keep it moving.
Ryan, you and I have known each other for quite a long while. You're a serial entrepreneur. You are now with Go2Venture Partners, essentially a company that helps companies figure out their marketing and then takes a stake in the company, basically taking a piece of the equity in exchange for promoting the company, right?
Yeah, I mean, Go2Venture Partners is a business accelerator. We have 3 divisions: venture communications, venture building, venture investment. The comms is on the brand marketing ad side. The builder is where we're actually able to utilize our team, third parties, to help entrepreneurs scale at where they're at and where they need support. And then the investment is opportunities for injection and start to look at different partnership opportunities.
That's a wonderful model because, I mean, you look at a lot of accelerators and they bring marketers in, but to have in-house marketing in addition to all the other functions of an accelerator incubator, it's very cool.
Oh, thanks, Marc.
Are you guys, how are you guys holding up in times of the plague right now? Don't depress me by telling me you're doing well.
Yeah, we're just killing it. You know what? Right now, obviously, I think this year is exciting. I think people are have probably put a little, drawn a line in the sand, and they're kind of do or don't. I think confidence is coming back. So a lot of our clients right now, we've got some really exciting projects that we're working on across divisions: educational, industrial. The entertainment division of our company is still a little slow. Obviously, it's hard to entertain when you can't see people.
They haven't even released James Bond on Apple.
They what? Sorry?
They haven't released the new James Bond.
Oh my goodness.
As far as I'm concerned, the entertainment business is dead.
It's dead. But you know what? We're doing our best to help our clients the best we can in these times. I think, again, being in the creative space, it's important to show optimism, inspiration, and keep that that ball moving. So we're doing our best here, and we're jacked for a good year ahead.
I'm a chronic interrupter. Where do you see the most promise? Because I think you really have your finger on the pulse.
Where do we see the most promise?
Yeah, because yesterday I talked to my accountant and I said, how you doing? He goes, oh, a lot of clients had a tough time. A lot of guys are folding their tent, but some guys are killing it. Yeah. And I'm like, who's killing it? So do you see anybody like killing it? Do you see anybody really doing well and ventures or sectors doing well?
You know what? A lot of stuff in the industrial category, stuff that kind of plays into essential services. Clients that are blue collar, which we're able to do. Actually, we're in the midst of working with a really exciting project with Wardco Parts, auto parts, but they're a massive company, huge commercial business, big retail business. And we're in the midst right now of, we took an opportunity for recruitment that was looking at telling the story of 4 positions they were hiring. And now we've actually folded it into more of a brand piece that's telling the story and the destination where Orco wants to take themselves for the years ahead, and in that still allowing us to fulfill the objective or complete the objective of the hiring and recruitment side. So I think, there's right now on that side of things, there's going to be good. I think there's a lot of people right now that we're working with, that are small business that are looking at, just strategy and coaching and support. We do a lot of that. And then there's going to be a lot of business right now. I think a lot of people, are going to be, once everything kind of goes back to somewhat normal confidence, I think the comms business is just going to roll. I think a lot of people are going to want to get out there and they've had a lot of time to think about who they are, what they want to do. They've had a lot of time to restructure, get solid in the resource allocation. Now they're like, let's make some noise and play some ball. And we're hoping that, they'll give us a call and we'll be able to help them. So.
All right. So that was 100%, 180 degrees in the wrong direction. That's not at all what we want to talk about today, but I'm fascinated because you got your finger on the pulse and I always love hearing about this. So I'm going to introduce what we're actually going to talk about. You have had plenty of experience on both sides of the table, walking into a room where somebody's trying to market something to you or where you're trying to market something to somebody. And I know about 70% of the people in brand DIY are entrepreneurs who's starting their own ventures or running their own ventures, but about 30% are brand experts, designers, art directors, writers, programmers, marketers. These are all people who, like me, are going out there and trying to pitch and win business. And what we want to talk about is, we chatted about this before. You've got a great perspective, very simple, on how people screw up when they start talking marketing to potential clients and how they could fix these things. So talk to me a little bit about how all this stuff evolved in your brain and, where you started to see these things that people were doing wrong.
Thank you for the kind words too. I've made a lot of mistakes, Mark. So
yeah, me too.
Up a lot, and I went in there the most cocky, arrogant fellow you could see, and I walked out with zilch. So at the same time, I've got a really great network of entrepreneurs and owners and people within my network that actually are the ones that have started something from nothing and are really pick their brain on how they make decisions and what they value and what they don't. And through it all, I've seen, and also on the agency side and some of the smoke and mirrors behind like a newspaper ad. I'm like, what are we talking about, right? Like, come on. So through all of it, I've also really been deep rooted, a big hearted guy. I'm pretty, empathetic against, really actually helping and making a difference. And so what I've seen is just that there's just a breakdown of communication, because marketing, it's a lot of it's left brain, right brain. And I think what happens is there's a lot of uncertainty around just the humans at the table. You've got that left brain that is pretty focused, data driven. What are we getting at? What's the goal? And we've got the right brain that starts telling a story of, is this blue? And they tell you a 5-minute rant about the color blue. And so there's just there's like, are we speaking the same language here? And a lot of times it's not that the people don't have the best interest at heart. They're just not communicating effectively. And so, through that, I feel hard. It's hard because a lot of creatives take it personally. I'm not good enough. The idea wasn't there. I didn't prep enough, blah, blah. The left brain goes like, is marketing just effed? Or we just got to double down on sales and now we'll get our sales guys to market, whatever. And there's a lack of appreciation. I think there's also a frustration. How many people, I can't find someone, that understands this world of marketing. And so, through my experience hands-on, through some wins and a lot of failures, I think I've got a pretty good idea that I utilize day in, day out with our clients, our business, but also a lot of insight and info that, to your point, I think simplifies the process, allows us to actually just take a breath. That's going to allow us to communicate, and I think in a much more effective, way on both sides.
Now, it's funny because I've worked with marketers at, or clients, some of the biggest, and a lot of them now, because I love entrepreneurs, folks who are coming out of the garage, folks who are still in the garage. And what I've observed is a lot of times the term marketing gets thrown around pretty fast and loose. And usually, especially when you're dealing with a bigger company, you're usually dealing with internal marketers. But a lot of times those internal marketers, if it's an engineering firm, the internal marketer is usually the lousiest engineer. And so he was a terrible, or she was a terrible engineer. And so they said, well, you go into marketing.
Yeah, for sure.
And so you assume that you're going to come in and do secret marketer handshakes, and you're totally talking past each other. I also know, I worked with a lot of foreign companies, and the most memorable one for me was Suzuki and Canon. And I was working with a dynamic. There was, and I don't want to be crass about it, but there was a white guy and a Japanese guy.
Yeah.
And there's a very special dynamic that goes on. The white guy is a marketer, and the Japanese person was put there by Japan. And the Japanese person doesn't say anything, and the white guy does the talking. But so you think you've got the secret bond with the white guy, but he has no authority. So there's all these dynamics that are at play that oftentimes, as a writer or a coder or a social media guy, you walk in, or person, you walk into the room, you think you're going to pitch something, and you run into a brick wall that you didn't even know was there.
100%.
So thoughts on the things that you've seen people do. Give us, there's a lot of folks out there who are good at their craft, but aren't terribly good at closing sales or opening doors. Talk to me about the things that you've seen that are so obvious that happen again and again and again.
Yeah, I mean, I think right there, I mean, you're talking about, the basis of just communication. And communication also isn't just what we're saying, right? Isn't that like the last thing people buy into? The words we use.
Yeah.
So what I've seen, again, a lot of it is just, if we look at initial client meeting, um, where, first of all, my take is you always go to the client's office. You
Mhm.
need to there's an one, you're going into you're trying to acquire business from them. So you need to put them in a position where they feel safe. They're going to feel a lot safer in their home than yours.
Mhm.
At the same time, you can also get a feel, vibe, energetically, culturally, the way people engage, interact with one another, the cleanliness of it, the quality of everything, from the food they serve to the coffee. There's a lot of things there that I
Mhm.
think, a lot of nuances you can pick up on. So, first thing, I wouldn't meet somebody in my office. I think the idea of like the big show, which people get, and don't get me wrong, if you've got, a company where you've got this immaculate thing, and I'm not saying that you can't, but I think offering it is kind of, I think it shows, kindness, and I think you're going out of your way to go visit them. A lot of
Mhm.
people don't even do that. They don't leave the office. They're like,
Mhm.
no, the client's got to come to us. We're not going to drive 45 minutes to go see
Mhm.
them. The second thing is, I think making sure that you've got a very clear objective on what you guys are talking about. So we talked a little bit prior too about pitch and the idea of like, I don't even like the word pitch. I think it has a lot of people already have an idea of what to expect. Well, at some point, he's going to try to sell me, right? Or
Mhm.
they're going to try to sell me. So having a conversation, but what is the conversation rooted in? Making sure that we've got a clear and concise idea, on that. And then the last thing, again, getting started is just make sure you have the right people around the table. You don't need 17 people to show everybody you're smart.
Mhm.
Who at that table is actually going to contribute? Who are they people from a client's perspective going to value? And there's only so much time and only so much mic space. So you don't need a bunch of people. That's another thing I see a lot of. Like, let's bring 17 people. That way they know we're serious. Well, first of all, if you're bringing 6 people to a client meeting, you probably don't have many clients. If
Mhm.
you can bring it the whole team for, for for whatever it is, I don't think it makes a lot of sense. So, and those are little things that on a subconscious level people play on. As an owner, you realize that, right? Um, so yeah, so those are just a couple things topical to get started that I'd say are
It's funny because, there's a lot of things that pop to mind, stuff that I've learned from good experiences and bad. And one of the best experiences I ever had, I'll go through two. Worked at a big agency. So we used to bring a whole bunch of people to the table. And I remember going to pitch an account. I think it was Aldo, the shoe company.
yeah,
And
yeah.
we brought people to the table I didn't even know. And I was the
Yeah,
creative.
that's
I
always
was the
good.
creative director.
Yeah,
And I'm introducing them. There's that famous scene in Mad Men in the very first show where it's a Jewish department store and the ad agency doesn't have anybody Jewish. And that was a real
yeah,
thing. That was a
yeah.
real thing in the 50s.
Oh yeah,
And so they had to go find somebody Jewish. And the creative director shakes the client's hand. He goes, "Hi, who are you?" And his partner, the boss, the CEO goes, "Oh, Mr. Klein from copywriting department." He goes, "Oh yeah, you work with me." And you're like,
yeah,
terrible. So one thing that I remember worked extremely well was to bring two people. It was the CEO and me, and we would go by ourselves. And it was as much to show that confidence that you just talked about, but also there's a very important dynamic that happens when one person is on project, they can't be on receive. And so if you're talking about the merits of your agency and somebody flips you a question, it's going to throw you. And so we always brought two people, and he would be watching the room while I'm talking.
yeah,
And if somebody asked me a question, I would never answer it. He'd answer it, and then vice versa. And that I found was a really good dynamic. So for the purpose of standing up and selling something to somebody or introducing yourself and pitching your wares, to have one person on receive and one person on transmit, I found that super effective, and it makes it look like you're not wasting money and you're only bringing the big chieftains to the party.
yeah. No, 100%. I've actually, so we'll kind of cover here. I've got kind of 4 kind of buckets that I just kind of quickly rant on, but I think this is going to provide the most for those that are watching. Also, at the same time, this is not just for those in the creative space. There's a lot of, you said 70% is business owners, entrepreneurs, small owners. I understand, guys, a lot of your time has been wasted and it's brutal. And you probably had a lot of meetings and time and energy spent on email and communication and conference calls about nothing. And you're kind of going like, are we high, or is there no one good out there? And I think, again, here, a lot of these takeaways are going to allow you on the ownership side to be able to vet and probably ask the right questions. One thing I was mentioning to you, Mark, is that as a business owner, if you're going to be able to if you're the one that's actually paying the bill, you're in the driver's seat. And I think sometimes a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs and those in that space, they're too kind. They're like, well, maybe, after this 27-step thing, there's going to be, no, that's not going to happen. Right. So like, you're in the driver's seat. The question, what you need to have solved is, that's your priority, and that's that prerogative. And those are going to be able to help you and actually, work with you on this. They're going to be able to understand, navigate that, and answer that. Right. So, go ahead. What were you saying?
No, the one thing I was curious about, when an owner says, is everybody stupid? A lot of it might come down to the way you put the message out there, what you're looking to receive.
Sure.
I think that there's great merit in figuring out as an owner that if everybody appears to be stupid, perhaps it's because you're asking them to bring the wrong stuff and there was miscommunication when you asked them what to bring,
Yeah, totally. And I think sometimes it's just simplifying, and we'll talk about it here a little bit, simplifying things, right? So, a lot of clients at some point are not going to fill out a brief. Why? He or she's busy. They got a lot of stuff going on. They don't understand it. They quite frankly feel like, I'm paying you. You got to figure it out. Is that right or is it wrong? I'm not going to really give an opinion on that, but it is what it is, right? So, so the first thing I think, again, when you walk into that room, I think, again, dress the part. A huge part is that, like, dress the part. If they are luxury, dress to the nines. If they're a little bit more middle of the road, dress middle of the road. You can still be stylish and fit who you are and represent yourself in a real manner, but nobody that's in blue jeans and a flannel wants to talk to a guy in a suit. And that's common sense. But people, I think, feel, well, we come in there with a suit, then they're going to take it. Then they're going to know that we're pretty important. It's like, you've already lost them. You're trying to sell them. They're not selling you. The energy, make sure that your energy is aligned. I think that coming in there with excitement and what have you, the energy in the room is imperative. So if you're going into a client where you feel like they really need help, having that empathetic energy, that consideration is huge. If you've got a client they're just ready to rock and roll, let's do some creative SHIT, come at it with game, have another coffee, come at it like, let's roll, let's actually be creative. But that's huge. That energetic alignment is massive. And again, get there 10, 15 minutes before the meeting. Like, it's common sense, but how many people I've seen, like, I'm so excited to work on your business, and they show up and they're actually late. And you're trying to get money from someone else and you're late. Like, what are you doing? But that happens all the time. Yeah. And show up with fresh coffees, right? So they had time to get coffee, but not time to be on time. So that's smart. So as we go in here, the first thing, I think, establishing connection. So that's the number one thing. People that are around the table want to feel heard and respected. So if they're around the table, there's probably a good reason why that the boss has brought them in. They are important, maybe just wants them to vet it. They're imperative to the role, but take the time and consideration, understand, who are you? What's your name? How long you worked for the company? When it comes to this crazy thing of marketing, what do you do? Start to build that familiarity and that connection. Those are going to be the stakeholders on the other side of the table. They're going to go to bat for you. 9 times out of 10, the boss, the CEO's got other things going on. He's going to, hey, Jerry, what'd you think about so-and-so? I liked him. Okay, great. Hit him with next steps. But making sure you build that connection. Also understanding their role, because you're going to know who you need to sell to on specific things. If the CEO, all he cares about is just dollars and cents, trying to talk to him about the variation of a color, he doesn't care. She doesn't care. So know who you're talking to and what you're talking about. And it also allows them to, if you're a creative expert in the world of communication, you should be able to at least host a table and make sure people are communicating. Set that tone by asking who you are and where you're at. Even if it takes an extra 10 minutes, like, they feel comfortable, and now everyone's talking. There's nothing worse than trying to get to know somebody and no one responds. It's just a one-way conversation. It's like a date, a one-way conversation. Chances are it's not going to go well. Same thing here is like, let's make sure that everything is open and concise. So I think establish connection and have a game, do your homework, understand your audience, know your client, know their industry, right? Simple things. If you like to curse, I curse once in a while, but if you're going into a client that's a little reserved, like don't curse. Like, it's little things like that where you're going to lose them, right?
Yeah.
And those are the subtleties, because a lot of times they don't even understand what you're going to do yet. They don't know yet, and they might even have trust issues about this thing called marketing. So there you go.
Yeah.
So that would be number one. Number two is going into defining out the single most important objective. So again, you're not Superman. You're not there to save the world, right? At the same time, your time and energy is worth money. And in order for them to give you that money, they have to understand that you're not here to solve everything for free. You're here to have a conversation that could lead to an opportunity where you can help them, right? So why are we here? And I put that a lot too on the client is, why are we here, right? Not why are we as individuals here? What are we talking about? So like what's, and in a human form, like, again, what are the metrics of this, and did your engagement reach this? And like, you're obviously going through a time right now where you feel there's some work to be done. You believe that from a creative perspective, there can be value added from a team such as ours, but like, what do you need done? Where are you missing the mark? Where have you made mistakes? What's going on here? And allow people to collaboratively answer that. A lot of the time, we don't even ask that question. We go into like sales mode. It's like, you don't. Well,
we start pitching solutions to problems we don't even know exist.
Yeah, you need a Band-Aid. It's like, no, dude, I was shot. I need the bullet out of my body.
Yeah.
So I think being able to ask that and get very clear, and let's talk about that. Like, so for instance, let's say, we have a really hard time right now. We're down in sales against XYZ competitor. And we feel that this has come, our sales guys don't understand, our sales girls, our sales force don't understand how to sell. It's not meeting expectation. We're losing time share, mind share when it comes to the clients. We can't see our clients, blah, blah. Get to the root of it. Is this a profit problem? Is this a dollars and cents? Is this a people problem? When I look at any business, I look at cash and communication. 9 times out of 10, if you're talking to the right clients, communication, it's not cash. Otherwise, you're calling on someone that's not even going to pay your tab, so don't call on them. So I would look and say, well, what is it? Do your people not get it? Is it confusing? Have they lost their way with the client? Are they not respected within the industry? Are you putting too many expectations on them? Like, are they spending majority of the day reporting on what they could do rather than actually engaging with the customer? The good thing too, when you ask this question, you start to come out of, you're not just a marketer or a creative. You're someone who's, you got a good mind. You're asking questions that are actually fundamentally imperative to a business. And that's,
well, let me just interrupt there. Also, people, if you talk about somebody, if you're talking about me, we can talk about me all day long. I love hearing about me. So if you go into a room and you start talking about the client and asking them questions and wanting to know more, they're going to think you're a bloody genius.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I also think too is, again, you have to gauge that, right? I think some people that I've, called, you talk, it's like, I'm not here for, to be fluffed. I want help and I want it now. And so you got to feel that. That's energy. You have to feel like this guy already knows he's the SHIT. You don't need to tell him he's good with it. He knows. So what do you need to do? And so I think, but at the same time, it's going to get the other constituents, the other stakeholders on board to start talking. And they might be able to shed light on an issue that they haven't been able to tell the boss due to culture, lack of time, lack of meeting structure, that, hey, you know what? I've talked to our sales guys and they think there's a disconnect between what we're communicating on a macro level and how they're executing on a micro level. Oh, really? Why is that? You start to break it down. Your job is not to go in there and create a new problem. Your job is to solve a problem that they have with the tools and with the abilities and the skill set that is already there. So that's number 2. Let's get to like the single most important objective, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, when you've got the head lead in there, they're gonna, someone might bring up, you've got, Rachel, and also the water cooler doesn't work, and he's gonna be like, that doesn't matter, okay? we'll fix that. This matters. So, and getting that buy-in, you're going to get that respect. You're going to get that because you made the client accountable to answering a question that you think is imperative to what you can do. And they've answered it, and they throw the ball back in your court. They're like, hey, let's see what you got, kid. Now what do we do? Right?
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Now, Ryan, I just have to be mindful because these shows only go till 10:30.
Yeah.
So if we don't get to the final two, because you've got two more, right?
Yeah, we can. I mean,
and we want to dig into them.
Yeah, I think we could sum it up, pretty quickly.
Okay, because I was going to say, Brand DIY members, if you have a question about points 1, 2, 3, or 4, Ryan's got a ton of experience, and you'll be answering stuff in the comments thread too if we don't get to them. But let's see if we can get to the final two, and if not, let's see what we can do about maybe bringing you back.
I think number 3 is, again, let's look at what do you need. So you need to be at now, what do you need to do your job? That means like us as the ones that are selling the creative services. Questions even too around like, what is your company doing in gross sales? There should be a percentage relative to that's an industry standard that should be going into marketing. A lot of people don't even know what that is. That's very easy. How much is going into marketing? What is the functionality in the role that marketing plays? In an ideal world, CEO Bob, what do you believe that, or owner Bob, what does marketing need to do for your business? If he says, I put out 10 signs, I want 10 cars sold, you already know his mentality. So does he even get it? Is there more education because it makes sense financially for you to do it? Or is it a lost cause? You need to know that. You need to be able to identify that because you've understood how they measure the value of what you may be able to sell and what success looks like to their business, right? Who's going to be my day-to-day lead? Who are we working with? I know we're not probably working with you. You're overseeing big things. What are we doing? In terms of communication, how do you guys like to communicate? What's efficient? Is it in person? Is it Zoom? Is it email? Is it conference calls? Understand how they communicate, what works best. So those things are just what you need to be able to do. In order for me to do my job, I need to be able to get the right info. That's going to be different per each client, but you need to know money. You need to know people. You need to know, communication. Another thing it asks too, like, are we the only, if we are in the sell mode, or are we the only people that you're talking to with other people? I'm all for it. I want people to find people that can best solve your problem. So that's going to allow you to understand how important it is to get things done quickly, fast. Sometimes you can lose a pitch or a sale just because you got it 2 days late and there you went with XYZ. So uncover what you need so you can get back to them. And then the fourth is just close with impact. Once you've been able to establish this, I would reiterate, the fact that we've talked about this today. Here's the single most important objective. Here's what we understand about your business. Let's just clarify what's going on. Did we miss anything? Here's how you want to be dealt with, worked with as a client. Here are the things that you discussed are the pillars of your business, again, sales, numbers, people, blah, blah, blah. Reconfirm all that. Show appreciation and thanks. Thank you. I understand, be empathetic. You don't need to, we're coming to take your money. So I appreciate the fact that you're even giving me the time to talk about your business. That's another opportunity to really reiterate why you think that you've actually, we've got sound experience in this industry. We've got a passion for this industry. We've got a team that has a lifestyle, age, demographic affinity with this industry. You're not saying we're the best, but you're driving home why you think you're gonna make a pretty good darn. Pitch, proposal, next steps. And then the last thing is just kind of close with, just something, again, appreciation, but something nice, something lighthearted. Maybe someone brought something up in the thing of, a joke, something to laugh about, kind of close it the way you would a conversation with someone you care about. And also last thing, it's almost a showbiz thing. Leave them wanting more.
Right.
Not give everything. Make them where they're like, man, we want that guy. Like,
yeah,
you want the boss or the seat. Can we just hire him? Can we just hire that person? That's the mentality. So there's 4 things there. We can go into more, more into it later, but,
yeah, but hold on. What I want to do, I was thinking while you were talking, it would be wonderful. Brand DIYers, reach out to Ryan. It'd be super cool to see a little bit of interaction, people bouncing their pitches off of you, brainstorming with you, getting some feedback on how they go to a client and why they're not closing. Because I think above all, 1, you have experience, 2, you pay attention to this stuff, but 3, you're objective. You don't know some of these people. So when they pitch, you're going to spot 5 things they could fix to improve their close, their rate of success that they never would have thought of.
100%. And I'd love to. I think we all have some time right now, but I love giving back and helping those. A lot of people have helped me in my walk and my career and build this company. So there's no dumb questions. fire them off. And if I can help, I'm all about it.
All right, man. I'm going to close off to respect everybody's time.
Alrighty.
But I want to thank you again, and I'm going to be poking you and poking all the brand DIYers to get to Ryan and try out your client communication on Ryan, because this guy knows what he's talking about. Thank you so much, man.
You're very welcome, man. You take care.
Have a good Tuesday.
All right, you too, brother. Bye-bye.
Bye.